Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. I'm Hari.
And I'm Kimi. Today, we are taking a trip back to the year 2000 to discuss a legendary fashion moment that was less of a traditional runway and more of a psychological thriller. We're talking about British designer Alexander McQueen's Spring-Summer 2001 collection, Voss.
Yes, Voss, often informally called the Asylum Show. This wasn't just about clothing, Kimi. It was a visceral, highly confrontational critique of the entire fashion industry. McQueen was famously ambivalent about the fashion world, often describing it as toxic, suffocating, and like a circus.
Absolutely, Hari. The media had frequently preyed on him early in his career, framing him as a working-class trespasser and attacking his weight and his looks. So Voss was his brilliant, twisted way of turning the camera back on his critics. Literally.
Oh, the staging was pure deviousness. It was held at the Gatliff Road warehouse in London during London Fashion Week. The complex set took an entire week to build and cost £70,000, funded with help from American Express. But the real kicker was the giant room-sized mirrored glass cube in the center.
Right. The audience sat on bleachers outside, but because the lights inside the cube were off, the glass acted as a giant mirror. McQueen, in a stroke of absolute genius, deliberately delayed the show by an entire hour.
The psychological tension must have been unbearable. You had the highly critical fashion press and celebrities forced to stare uncomfortably at their own reflections for 60 minutes while the sound of heavy breathing and a heartbeat played over the speakers.
Here is a fun fact. Some people in the front row actually tore holes in their paper invitations to use as makeshift face shields so they wouldn't have to look at themselves. Meanwhile, McQueen was backstage joyfully watching their discomfort on a CCTV monitor.
It was his ultimate act of vengeance. Speaking of celebrities, McQueen was very selective about his guest list. His parents were there, along with stars like Gwyneth Paltrow, Grace Jones, and Tracy Emin. But did you know Victoria Beckham, Posh Spice herself, was actually denied entry?
I did. McQueen apparently preferred to only invite celebrities with whom he had an active working relationship. No free rides.
Exactly. Now, when the lights finally came up inside the cube, the mirror became transparent, revealing a space styled like an observation room in a stereotypical mental asylum. It had white tiled floors, padded walls, and one-way mirrors so the models couldn't actually see the audience staring back. The styling was deeply unsettling. The models had pale, sickly makeup and tightly wound bandages around their heads, looking like they were recovering from brain surgery.
And McQueen didn't want them doing the classic, elegant runway walk. He instructed them to stagger, stop randomly, and press themselves against the glass as if having a nervous breakdown.
Model Erin O'Connor recalled McQueen giving her these exact directions. So, you're in a lunatic asylum, I need you to go mental, have a nervous breakdown, die, and then come back to life. In 3 minutes.
O'Connor was incredible. She wore look 33, the famous razor clam dress made from 1,200 real shells sourced from Norfolk beaches and Billingsgate Fish Market. McQueen spontaneously told her to rip the shells off her dress while walking. She did, cutting her hands so badly they were bleeding.
But she was so in character, she didn't even notice the pain. Backstage, when McQueen saw her bleeding, he didn't panic. He actually took her blood and smeared it on her head bandages to match her next outfit. Talk about a commitment to the aesthetic.
That next outfit was look 76, the microscope slide dress. It took 6 weeks to make, featuring 2,000 slides hand-painted red to represent blood beneath the skin. Interestingly, the singer Bjork later wore this dress in concert, and her dancing caused the glass slides to rattle, transforming the garment into a musical percussion instrument.
That is one of my favorite fashion trivia facts of all time. There were so many other high-risk showpieces, like Look 65, which was a dress crafted from an antique Japanese silk screen McQueen found at a Paris flea market. He hand-sewed most of it himself.
It was paired with a silver and black pearl neckpiece by Sean Lean. It had sharp, pointed branches curling over the model Karen Elson's face. She actually tripped on the runway, cut her neck, and narrowly avoided a much more serious injury.
There was also a corset and headpiece made of hand-painted red Venetian glass worn by Laura Morgan, who said it was the most terrifying thing to wear because the tight skirt made it impossible to move, and if she fell, the glass would shatter.
The level of danger was palpable, but nothing prepared the audience for the grand finale. Inside the central glass box sat underground journalist Michelle Olley. She had been waiting in there for hours, breathing through a tube, wearing a stone-like mask with live moths.
Olley, who described herself as 5'3" and the wrong side of a size 16, was recruited to challenge the industry's strict, thin beauty standards. McQueen wanted to show that something conventionally deemed ugly or unfit could be beautiful. The finale was a recreation of Joel Peter Witkin's photograph Sanitarium. When the glass box shattered, revealing Olley lying nude on a chaise longue made of cow horns, draped in lace with hundreds of live moths fluttering around her, the heartbeat soundtrack suddenly flatlined.
It was a legendary moment of raw performance art. Olley later recalled the sight of the moths as unworldly and exciting, saying she felt like she was part of an act of magic.
Today, Voss is remembered as one of the greatest fashion shows in history, a brilliant, disturbing interrogation of beauty, madness, and the human form.
This episode is based on the Wikipedia article Voss Collection, which is available under the Creative Commons Attribution Share-alike license. This podcast was crafted using artificial intelligence.